Okay. We do need an intro.
Oh, do we?
I'd like one.
I'd like
Hi.
one.
Welcome to We Like the Hotel. We like a podcast called The Hotel.
You would never have fucking guessed from the title.
You would never have guessed from the title.
You would
needed
never
me to
have
explain
guessed.
that.
You would never understand the warriors bond we share over a podcast called The Hotel.
So true. I do have to say, and I'm so sorry, the name makes it a little hard to recommend to people. I do say the hotel podcast, and they go, there's a podcast about a hotel? And I'm like, yes, and it's called The Hotel. And they go, right, what's the name of the hotel podcast? And I'm like, okay, no, that's it. You said it.
It's like the podcast that shall not be named.
It's Who's On First, but for a podcast. No notes. Perfect name.
I completely lost my train of thought looking at my audio mixer.
Well, we did the intro.
We did the intro.
We should explain this, right?
We should explain this. You should explain this.
Okay, I will. Thank you. We are doing a Season 1 retrospective. We are waiting for Season 5 to drop, so we figured it would be a great time to go back and do yet another re-listen.
Yet another.
Niall, how many times have you been through this show now?
Oh! That is not a question you can ask me.
Okay.
I've listened to it, in its entirety with Andy and N, so that's once. I re-listened, back in March when I was getting back into it, so that's twice. How many times do you think I shiny hunted for that Gardevoir? Because that was one time each.
It was like every day for 2 weeks, I want to say. My concept of time isn't great.
Okay, it was probably,
week and a half?
It felt like more than that. It was probably closer to like 2.5 weeks. I still do it on occasion. So that's like 14... 17, 19, almost 20 times I've listened to the show! And that's not even counting the bonus episodes. As you may have surmised, I'm pretty normal.
Yeah, I actually wasn't expecting that high of a number.
Yeah, there's a reason my avatar is what it is.
Yes.
I get kind of a god complex over these things.
But we all just did a Season 1 re-listen. We all listened to it today.
Wow. Mere minutes before we actually started recording.
Mere moments before we started recording. So let's lead off with a couple thoughts on how does it feel to come back to Season 1 after the Season 4 finale?
Bizarre. Utterly bizarre. It's like, the feel of Season 1 is way different from Season 4, in my humble opinion. I wrote this down in the discussion topics channel we have.
Oh, I should look at that.
Yeah, that's why I was writing in there all day. But the focus being more on the guests themselves, getting into more of the guest psyche than the staff, gives it a vastly different feel story-wise, solely because we were so used, like, as people who have been listening primarily to Season 4 as new episodes have been coming out, to, like, the focus being on the staff and the staff's interactions with each other, because that's where the focus of the story as a whole has been. But back in Season 1, it was more, like, episodic, bite-sized horror stuff. And production-wise, writing-wise, it's kind of strange, honestly. Like, not in a bad way, because I do absolutely love Season 1 with all of my heart. It's a classic. But I'm trying to find something to compare it to. TV Tropes calls it early installment weirdness.
There is a sense, I think, that things were still being figured out.
Yeah.
There wasn't a fully... And this isn't like a knock on the show or anything. There wasn't a fully established kind of... What do I want to say? Lore? Or, like, you're still getting your footing type of feeling, which I don't mind. I like it a lot. The
canon wasn't loaded yet.
The canon wasn't loaded yet. I love that. Yes. But what that does is that it allows the viewers, that's also not the right word, the listeners.
The viewers. That's 2 out of 3.
Yeah, third time's the charm. It allows the listeners to speculate. Something you may have found out about me if you've ever glanced at my Twitter is that I love to speculate. I get out my red string and I get out my corkboard and I just have a little ball. And I like to go, what if it was this, 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 and this? And then I like to throw that in the trash and go, but what if it was instead this, 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 and this? And then I like to get it out of the trash and unball it and wipe out all the wrinkles and put them side by side and go, fascinating. So I really like Season 1 because what the hell is going on?
Season 1 is like its own beast, its own creature.
It feels very much in terms of like coming from a horror fan perspective. Season 1 feels like you're like Monster of the Week anthology in terms of energy, whereas the later seasons feel much more like interconnected. A bit like if you've ever watched an old but long-standing horror series, when you go and watch the first movie and you're like, oh, they didn't know they were going to make 16 after this. And then by the time you get to like Hacksaw Murderer 16, you're like, wow,
this is the final Friday.
Rich.
We promise this is the final Friday.
Yeah.
That's actually really something that I was noticing, and I made a note, and I said foreshortening instead of foreshadowing.
Foreshortening. I thought that was intentional.
No, that was a mistake. It's been a day. So me and Jay watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre last night, and something that I was noticing right off the bat was the sheer level of foreshadowing that they go into. There's like, there's the omens are stacking up. It's one thing after another. If I could call a specific example to mind, this would make my point really good. They're like, don't go into other people's houses, they don't like you rummaging around in there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something specific to the Texas Chainsaw universe. I love rummaging around in people's houses.
That's kind of what I noticed when I was listening back to the first episode with Ted Barrow. He stretches and twists his limbs when he gets in the room, reminiscent of the way he's about to be turned into a fucking tree. The plant under his arm is suffocating. Just this level of building up to the death. And there's also in season 1 a sense that the way the guests die in the rooms are kind of based on them. Where Ted Barrow has his plant, he's turned into a tree. Harry Brunt is homeless and he can't get into a room. He dies in the hallway. He never finds a place to rest. Arnold Jackson, says, I don't want to be disturbed, nobody come help me. And he's in a situation where he desperately needs someone to come help him. Not all of them are like that, of course, but there's a sense in which the deaths are inspired by the guests or made specifically for them based on their personalities, which is really interesting. And I'm trying to remember if that happens later in this series as well.
Jay,
I've been talking for a very long time. Somebody else go.
I've just been thinking. I've just had two stupid little thoughts. One of them being a reference to every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized, and one just being fondly twirling my hair and sighing and going Noreen because I think about her a lot.
Love you, Noreen.
Heart emoji, tears in my eyes, weeping.
I think the thing with the rooms feeling more personalized does come down to, like Niall was saying, about the first season being way more centered on the guests, so you do get to find out more about them, which makes then sense for the rooms to therefore be more of a reflection of them, whereas in later seasons, because there is a lot more to sink your teeth into, the way the guests are dealt with does change and evolve as the show is changing and evolving, which is really interesting and really cool to see. So whether the rooms are still tailored to them in the, or as we're reading into it, tailored to them in the canon of the show or whatever, it's harder and harder to tell. They could be. You never know.
We don't know anything about these people. It's like in season 1, the staff was more of a means to an end rather than characters the story centered around.
Yeah.
And that ties into my thoughts on season 2, but we're not talking about season 2 at the moment.
And when we do get to the staff, the manager is kind of always focused on her job. We don't get a lot of interiority from her, which is interesting to say from a show that is entirely narrated by a character. But she's very focused on her job, I would say. She's very focused about the guests. Her own feelings on the matter don't really matter. You can kind of tell she doesn't like some of the guests from the way she talks about them. I think I remember Eric Brune in particular, when she's like, he's a nice man. He's considerate. And she sounds like she hates this dude.
She's like, oh, I can't stand this motherfucker.
Stand this guy. The lobby boy and the owner are like...
face!
The lobby boy and the owner are like, I don't want to say they're whining. They're kind of whining. The lobby boy's kind of whining. The owner's kind of whining. They're like, oh...
The lobby boy doesn't want to get in the robot.
The lobby boy does not want to get in the robot. He's like, the rooms are scary, I don't like them. He makes them, but they upset him. He doesn't like the guests, he doesn't like interacting with the guests, he doesn't like a lot of what goes on in the hotel. And the owner's... Oh, the owner in season 1. He's so freaking... He's melancholy. Oh,
I
am crushed by this
comparing
massive
him
wave.
in season 1 compared to in season 4 as like a rich espresso compared to gas station coffee, affectionately.
Affectionate.
Affectionate.
He's so sad.
Everything I've ever said about this man is affectionate. Even
So
when I'm like, oh, I wanna pluck him like a turkey.
He's suffering. He's really suffering.
Long-suffering man.
And he doesn't like the staff, and he's mad he can't fire them. He wants to fire them so bad.
He wanted to make a room for the manager.
He wanted
That
to make a
still
room.
baffles me. Like, my brother, are you even capable of these things?
I could make a room if I wanted to. I'm not going to.
And it
I'm
would
not
be
gonna
way
make a
better than that wretched lobby boys
better than the
rooms.
stupid lobby boys rooms.
Stupid lobby boy. Nasty.
Nasty.
Disgusting.
And it kills me every time when he's like, we don't need all this pageantry, all these flourishes and this fancy shit going on with the rooms, talking to the guests. Come on, a little light torture and then kill them and we're done. And then he watches a room filled with sand while a guy scrabbles up a cactus away from spiders, and then the spiders eat him. And he's like, okay, that was kind of cool. That kind of owned.
Someone show this guy Indiana Jones.
Somebody show this guy Indiana Jones. I think I said to Jay while we were listening, the owner, I keep going to horror movies. The owner is like Saw 1, and the manager is like Saw 87, or however many they made. She's on that Saw 7 shit. She's like, let's get the fucking... I haven't watched any of the Saw movies. The owner is like, a nice reverse bear trap is all we need. And the manager's like, let's get ropes and pulleys involved.
Yeah, let's go to the death spiral. Let's suspend it over a pit of sharks.
Yeah, let's tie this guy into like a car that's wired up to like a Rube Goldberg machine of death.
Let's fill this box with rusty needles.
Oh god, I hate the fucking needle pit so bad.
It's one that really squicks me out.
Oh yeah, I've watched the kill counts for the dead meat ones for Saw. I can't do torture porn,
Watching
but I
kill
like
counts for movies is a god-given right.
It's a god-given right. Shout out James Janice. What are we talking? Right, so
it's James A. Janice, and this is the kill count.
Not anymore. Not here. He doesn't.
Okay, we got someone call him. We got a show for him.
That is also there's something Jay was saying about like there's also the sense in season 1 that the guests stay in the rooms. They fill the room. Yeah. Darlin, do you want to take that away?
Yeah, there was a couple of points, and I forget the specific wording. Sorry, we listened to it in one big go, so some of the earlier ones are a little bit muddy to me, but there is specific wording about how guests stay in the rooms. And especially starting with Ted Barrow, where he becomes a tree and is rooted, there's this feel that I think as I was going through later seasons in the first re-listen, I forgot about this and kind of had the impression that rooms disappeared or were cleaned and reused for a different death. And instead, I think on this listen, it sounds more like the hotel is this infinite thing filled with these rooms that are never cleaned or removed or changed in any way, and the guests stay in there dead or in a state of death. I think I did say to Ibis, I wonder if it's like if they're kept in that moment, not technically, it never sort of ends, so you're stuck in the exact point of death in that room or in the aftermath or whatever, and it just stays in there. So in the infinite possibility of the hotel, these rooms are still there as they were when we left them in the episode. It's just it stretches on impossibly to things that you couldn't expect, and I think I likened it to a potentially a Monsters Inc. style energy thing, trying to come up with some justification.
Oh my god, I'm laughing so fucking hard that it's not even recording on Discord, so my avatar isn't moving. I'm sorry. I was thinking of comparing it to like the thing in Pokemon Sun and Moon where Lucamine just had a bunch of Pokemon encased in ice that she like stared at on occasion, but then I realized that I could just compare it to something normal, like permafrost. That wasn't from a Pokemon game.
What's the philosophical thought experiment that's like the infinite hotel but all the rooms are filled?
Yeah, the infinite hotel paradox.
That's her.
That's her. Sighs and twirls my hair.
It visually it puts me in mind of there is a shot in the movie Cabin in the Woods
Yes.
where there are
Oh my god,
the
like all the
transparent
the
cubes.
beasties in the cages.
The cubes.
Yeah.
Ooh, a film.
That's the hotel to me.
To you, maybe.
Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said, actually.
And it's fun that we're saying she, because by this point the hotel was still it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only ever referred to as it.
And then there's the line in the first episode in Ted Barrow where they're talking about, oh, the building is really old. If you close the door, the whole floor hears. If you take a shower, the entire building will know. And I'm like, haha,
Yeah,
that's not because you can
sure
hear
will.
it. That's because the building's alive.
It sure fucking
The floor's
will.
listening.
She will know.
She's like the worst version of Santa Claus.
And also with the more open-ended nature of season 1, there's the guests' deaths are sometimes kind of off screen. I'm just reiterating what C said. What did C say?
Oh, she said a lot of smart things.
She said so many smart things.
It was actually in comparison between season 1 and season 4 that by the time season 4 rolls around, the deaths are the backdrop, not the spectacle.
Yeah, literally the backdrop for Alex Potensky. I love 416 so much. I love Alex Potensky. Mushroom. Okay. Yeah.
You love
And
a
the-
mushroom.
I love a mushroom, it must be said. And this is part of what really pulled me in about the show. Dragged me in might be right. Anyway, pulled me in
By
about
force.
the show. By force, whether you like it or not.
My neighbors are always listening to really loud drum and bass music.
Finish it.
I'm not.
Okay. The thing
That's
that
what
really
happened in
pulled
the
me in.
neighbors.
That's what happened in the Havers.
Okay,
The
I'm cutting
Havers
that.
are always listening to really.
Drum and bass, whether they like it or not.
Thank you.
The hotel theme gets insanely cool.
The hotel theme gets insanely cool. Okay, so we have another edit we have to make now. That's what really pulled me in about the show in season 1. I think I said it already, that it's really a kind of meat and potatoes horror show for somebody who read creepypastas on the internet as a kid and scared the shit out of himself and couldn't sleep for like a week and then just kept doing it. It's like something terrible happens to someone for no reason. It's otherworldly, it's horrific, it can't be stopped. And there we go. Story's over.
Wow,
Sit with it.
that really sucked for that guy. On to the next.
On to the next. I don't know what it is about that kind of story that just makes me. I like it. I like it so
Makes
much.
you absolutely rabid.
Absolutely rabid, foaming at the mouth over here. And then the shift over to the staff is also very fun. It's good to dig into them and see what's going on with them. But I do like that season 1 is very focused in on the guests.
I think the only
What's-
the only real staff focused episode besides the owner was Ashley Brushes, because we don't even get to see her. The entire episode is the lobby boy waxing poetic about old rooms and how much he hates this room in specific.
Yeah.
And how the manager is scruffing him by the neck, making him watch.
Yeah, the
Season 1
and the
manager,
lobby
love of my
boys-
life.
The manager and the lobby boys relationship in the first season is so it's so different from how it is now, and it's she's almost more like the owner in that she's not as harsh on him, but she is he says she makes him do that because she knows he doesn't like it. She's like, you got to get used to this, man. Throwing him in the deep end, making
Literally
him swim.
just tossing him in the deep end. Ha! Ha! Oh! Ooh! Ooh!
Oh!
That registered a little late!
Like some sort of perhaps sea creature.
like some kind of sea beast. Ooh! Ooh! Sorry, okay.
It all comes
I'm
back around to
normal.
fish.
It all comes back to fish.
It's all fish in here.
It's fish all the way down.
Fish all the fucking way down. You don't know what's in the Challenger Deep. I do.
Would you like to find out?
They got women down there.
Yeah, women down there.
That's where they're hiding the
Girls.
bitches.
Girls, Simon, it's pointing to the depths of the ocean.
Literally the girls, just kidding,
Season
sea
5!
life.
Season 5!
Sea life. The oarfish is the world's longest normal girl.
Your fish is the world's longest normal girl. I still haven't drawn or fish manager. I gotta get on that.
Fish manager is so dear to my heart.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I like the Imperium arms showing
The
up.
Imperium arms.
And then you said Robert Watson mentions it later.
Yeah. In the context of the New Year's episode, I do recall, a party at the Imperium Arms that he attended in the past that he did not have to crawl through miles of snow to attend.
The Imperium Arms X the hotel, rivals to lovers, 50K slow burn. What was up with Harold Pike?
What was up with Harold Pike? That man is strange.
Did he bring those thingies? Are those his?
Did they come with him?
Harold, are these yours? They're poking the lobby boy. Please remove them.
They're poking the lobby boy. It'd be very funny if it was like a very early Madame Hotel situation that none of us were clued in on.
Yeah.
She's just like here dicking around.
She just popped up to see what's up.
What's good? And then she fucking
How
left.
do they react to this? And then she leaves.
And the manager was just like staring at the fucking wall the entire time.
And when he goes up to the room, she's like, "Okay, well, I guess that's done with. Stuff happens here sometimes." Yeah.
Like
Travis likes his little swarms of goblins.
Loves those little swarms of creatures. And she couldn't even see the elevator. She just had a very intense knowledge of where the elevator supposedly was at that point in time.
That's what's interesting. I like that. So the lobby boy and the owner, and the lobby boy's thing comes kind of later, but both have powers. The owner has he can shift himself between wherever. He can go in the void. He can turn into a big bird monster.
Yay!
Possibly a bird monster. I guess the bird thing wasn't intended. Which is still, I'm sorry, that's very funny to me. He shows up with a flap of wings. This is a bird.
This man's a bat, actually.
Oh shit, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll keep going. I won't.
Keep going. He turned into a big monster. He can go wherever he wants in the hotel. He can go to the void. The lobby boy can start shifting the physical form of the hotel to his will. The manager just knows what's going on. She doesn't seem to be able to leave the lobby, and this is again season 4, this isn't season 1, but she can't leave the lobby when she sees the owner going for the lobby boy and Mr. Platt, and she's just standing there watching because she can't go out there. But she knows everything that's happening. There's a difference between the way the manager and the lobby boy discuss what's happening to the guests. The manager says everything with a certainty whether or not she's there, and the lobby boy, in Noreen, he's like, well, she's probably doing this. I think she might be doing this. If this happens, then this will happen.
Yeah, we just kind of assumed what happened to Noreen based on the lobby boy's word, but it's not like he was there.
It's not like he was
there. He was on the Stairmaster.
He was on the fucking Stairmaster. He was not skipping leg day.
He was getting his cardio in. Poor boy.
He opens the door and it's just smoke, and where'd she go? He
Noreen's
doesn't really
still
know.
in there. She's just completely fine.
She's in there. She's fine.
She's having the time of her life.
He's fed up with her. He just drops the ashtray and he's like, whatever. Bye. And of course the manager has her CCTVs in the private office.
The boob tube.
The boob tube.
Aww.
Boob tube. But she knows things. She knows what's going on. I think that's interesting. I was thinking about there is the sense in which they're the duck decoys that have become actual ducks, and the hotel's like, okay, well, I guess we're rolling with this, which I really like.
You're welcome. Again.
There's also a sense in which they're kind of like components of the hotel, almost like functions of the body.
Organs in a larger organism.
Organs in a larger organism.
Like an anatomy! Oh my god, like an anatomy! The game ever!
I think I was saying the owner's like the immune system almost. The manager is like a nervous system, and the lobby boy, I guess, is like the digestive system.
Oh, you bet he is!
Like. He processes.
Yeah, there is that feeling that they are. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about stuff we were discussing before about them being these parts of a larger organism, and you've got the processing, the defense, and the knowledge, which are the 3 segments that they take up, which are segments of the hotel. herself, which I find fascinating. I think the analogy I pulled from it originally was something I have heard elsewhere. I am sure of this, of like when something big attacks an ant, it can't register like a finger as part of the larger being that's coming for it. It's just like that's a thing on its own, that's a limb. But that's its entire thing to it, and instead of being a limb of a larger thing, which I believe is an analogy I've heard to do with potentially some form of eldritch horror before.
I've heard that in reference to eldritch horror. Same with the analogy of an ant on a circuit board. It can see these things in front of them, and it has like an idea of what these things are, but it doesn't know what they're for, why they're here, what their purpose is, or what put them here.
And the staff as components in that sense, I think, is just very fascinating. Thinking of them less individually in season 1 and more as components is really interesting.
We were talking about the manager's like awareness of everything that goes on within the hotel, and I was going to say that in that sense, the owner and the lobby boy's like power is more physical. The lobby boy can like morph the shape of the hotel, something Shinji Ikari, and the owner can like, hey P-Brain, you teleport and shit. But the manager, her power is more mental, more charismatic even. She's so very good with the guests. Her ability to lull these people into a false sense of security is what keeps the whole thing flowing, keeps the operation going nice and smooth. We saw Carl LARP check-in disaster. We have seen so many check-in disasters over the course of the Madame Hotel arc.
Also, Carl LARP is the episode that made me really cement that the manager knows everything happening in the lobby, because she knows what everybody else is doing, frozen in their little wood blocks. She knows it for a fact. Okay, I'm done.
Electrical signals in the wood.
So
like a catfish.
So true. When Catfish Manager went, something that made me kind of shriek a little bit and flap my hands around was in, oh god, which one is it? Is it owner? It's one of the owners. 3 or 4? Possibly 4?
4's the report.
Oh, 4 is the last one. It would be 3.
Because the next owner episode we got was in season 4.
Yes, 411. Owner 5. That was the last one before I caught up. Or no, the 412 came out while I was still catching up.
Same here.
So 412 was the last. Okay. Anyway, there's a bit in Owner 3 when he tells the lobby boy, when he's like going over to see what's up with the lobby boy, and he's like, come here, and he's like, do you know why you're here? And the lobby's like, 'cause you told me to. And the owner's like, blah, blah, blah. That's how he talks, blah, 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 blah. He says 10 to the guest, and the lobby boy's confused because there is no guest, and then the guest appears, and he's like, the lobby boy probably thinks I summoned him. There's this aspect of the owner that is making me think of Master and Commander with Jack Aubrey, because I'm rereading that right now. When Jack gets his first command of the Sophie, he has this realization that he is completely alone. He's on a boat filled with people, so full of people that kind of can't fit everybody in there, and he is completely alone because now he is the commander of the ship. He is God incarnate. This veil of decorum separates him from every other human being on the ship. And I think in the same way, the owner's position separates him from the lobby boy and the manager. And he, also his personality does that, because he's kind of a... I'm trying to think of a nicer word than a bitch, but he's a little bit of a bitch.
Kinda mean.
He's kind of mean.
He's
but
abrasive.
He sees his position as something that prevents him from being able to relate to them, I think, in a way. He's like, they probably think I did that. They think I have all this power. They think I'm in control of all of this, but I'm also subject to somebody else's control. And it weighs on him.
Something about the manager feeling just as trapped as he does, and I'm like,
yes.
Write that down!
Write that down!
Anything having to do with the manager will happen, and I'll be like, oh, I'm using this for something later. I'm gonna put this in a blender and drink it.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna incorporate that into my personality.
There really is that like same feeling of the speech Jack Aubrey has about becoming them rather than part of the crew. Yeah, that's the owner. That's him.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone he can talk to, or he doesn't feel like he can talk to anyone. And that kind of carries through this, like, he feels very alone. He feels very lonely. He's a lonely man.
An
And then the
island of a
road trip
man.
happens.
And then the road trip happens.
We need to
Ah.
psychoanalyze him.
Sigh.
He wants to be a part of the group. He wants to be in the in crowd.
And then the solo is going to happen.
And then the solo is gonna happen, and we're gonna be, like, rubbing our hands together. I'm gonna be in the audience with popcorn, crunching very loudly over his singing.
I am preemptively analyzing this. Okay, it's about vulnerability. It's about being on your own. It's about getting up on a stage and performing for a whole bunch of people.
It's about Graham Rowett's dope-ass singing voice.
It's about Graham Rowett's dope-ass singing voice. I'm gonna explode. And it's there's so much in it, and it hasn't even come out yet, and I am chewing my own arm off. I keep doing this. I don't have any arms left. I'm gonna have to grow another one really
Got
fast.
centipedes, got a lot of centipedes.
Got centipedes, got a lot of centipedes.
I'm, like, analyzing the postcard.
Right? Knock 'em dead, champ. Literally. Is the audience dead before he starts singing, or does his singing kill them? And then and then you get to the Owner 4 and it's Star Trek, I guess. I've watched like 3 episodes of the Star Trek.
I know Star Trek through osmosis from my friends who have watched Star Trek.
I was doing like a group watch with a bunch of people back in the Les Mis days. Oh, Lord.
That's an eternity ago.
Literally an eternity. Was I 14? I think I was 14.
You were still in the womb!
Essentially. And I stopped doing it because something in one of the episodes freaked me out really.
Ooh.
And I was like, I can't watch this anymore. Star Trek's scary.
Star Trek frightening.
Star Trek frightening.
Very scary. I was scared.
I was scared. Do you guys ever think about how season 1 ends with the owner saying, I want to stay, and then in the season 4 finale they had him say, I want to stay together, and does your heart ever combust? A little bit?
I do think about that quite a lot. I like all the callbacks in this show.
The callbacks are fantastic.
I like noticing a line and being like, oh my god, this was from this episode before this.
They said this somewhere else, too.
They said this somewhere else. Like the Imperium Arms thing, the I want to stay together, I want to stay parallels, everything with Return and XX.
A lot of stuff I think that the owner says in Owner 4 when he's giving his report also gets repeated. I think in Owner 5 he opens the same way with, are you ready to hear me? It's fading, but I'll tell you what I can remember. That's a little out of order, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
None of us can remember an episode 100%, except for me on occasion.
Except for you on occasion. You could probably do XX verbatim. Actually, you could probably do what's 413? You could do
Judy
Judy
Blashy
verbatim.
Hold on, I need a drink. I already finished my lemonade, damn it. I can't then. Okay, I'll just sit here and snicker to myself for a minute.
Why was the owner upset that there were no turtles in 416? Again, this is not season 1. Does he like turtles? I think that's nice.
I recall on a re-listen he did mention something, but I don't know if that's my mind playing tricks on me or not.
He's like, there are no turtles, of course. And it's like, oh,
No
fucking of
stinking
course there are no turtles. Because God hates me. His life is never fair. There can never be a goddamn turtle.
She has something against me.
Personally.
It's a vendetta. I have to go check the transcripts now. God damn it. I'm saying it's an N now.
I could be misremembering, but I think Turtles might be a Star Trek reference too.
Turtle could be a Star Trek reference if you wanted it to be.
I feel I'm not sure. I feel like it
Me
might
going
be, but
through the transcripts to every episode and Control F searching turtles. Oh shit! Yes! Oh my god! It was not him mentioning turtles actually. Hold on,
my
let me
God.
go check. Let me go compare the scripts, cause I'm the kind of person that does these things.
We are live discovering things.
We are
about
live.
Hotel.
Well, I discovered this earlier, and then I forgot I discovered it.
Nice. Oh, while you're scrolling, I do like what you said about the owner. I love how seriously he takes the threat of replacement as if it's an actual problem that he could hypothetically place. He's like he fed an AI a whole bunch of like investor reports, but didn't tell it what any of the words meant. I like that with what he says when he first shows up. We're expecting a lot of growth in the upcoming quarter, and I've got to deliver my reports and this and this and this. And then later the hotel's like, I don't know what any of that means. He's talking about timescales that don't matter to me. This is nothing. It's all in his little head. It's very cute. I like that.
He's just goofing, honestly.
He's just riffing over there.
Okay. So,
just, oh.
I was thinking, hypothetically, it could be that the creek in 416 is referential to the creek in Hammering Bones?
Are there turtles in Hammering Bones?
No turtles, no fish, no birds in the woods. No turtles, baby.
No turtles. She said specifically the words, no turtles?
No turtles. I quoted that verbatim from the episode's transcript. No fucking turtles.
No turtles. Okay.
No
so
pomegranates.
Travis, what do you have against turtles?
I think there should be some turtles in the hotel. I think we should let them loose.
Turtles.
Let's put snapping turtles in the pool.
Yeah.
Those things fucking hurt.
We're gonna get to like owner 8, and he's gonna be like, I step into the pool, a snapping turtle nips at my boot. I smile, everything is right with the world, and then it just ends.
100%.
Shortest episode of the show.
And my favorite, and I go wild.
The ibis goes wild. There's no crowd.
The ibis goes wild. Just me.
Just you. I'm sitting there filing my nails. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep drawing comparisons between the woods in Hammering Bones and the hotel being not quite the woods in Alex Potensky. I'm gonna be really normal about this, considering everything that happened between Return and XX, and everything between Owner 4 and She's Always Been Here, and sometimes I do the Macarena alone in my closet thinking about it.
She's always been here.
That's where I have my fucking Judy Blashy postcard. It's pinned to the wall in my closet. I look at it sometimes. In the mornings.
Let her out.
I can't let her out! It's for the good of my family!
I've got mine up over my computer, so sometimes I just look up there and I see them and I'm filled with joy.
If I were still working, or if I were about to take a gap year, I would have my Judy Blashy postcards behind my monitor. My Judy Blashy postcard and my Carl Art postcard. You know those episodes I'm really normal about. But
you're so normal about girls' night.
I would stop typing for a minute to kick back at my chair like a cool guy in an 80s anime, and then I would remember what's behind my monitor, and then I would go back to typing feverishly. Sometimes you have to tell yourself you're being watched, even if you aren't.
Your muse.
My muse, in the worst way.
Thinking about, and I think I'll say this once per We Like the Hotel episode, thinking about how it took me to the Owner 3 to recognize Graham Rowett.
Yeah, that was very funny. As a podcast listener.
As a podcast listener, thinking about what he would do on the No Sleep podcast, I was trying to remember because it's been a while since I've listened. I should go back, and I just kind of would marathon them. And there's a bunch on each episode. There's a bunch of stories. I think he did a lot of the ones that were from the point of view of the killer. If it's a serial killer and we're getting their interior, it would be him, and he'd be doing the voice.
It's like an interface spoiler. I love quoting TV tropes.
Which it's very funny.
I use TV tropes so fucking often. I actually checked a while back to see if the hotel had a page on TV tropes. It doesn't, but there is one for All Elite Wrestling.
Hey, is there? Hold on.
Yeah, there is.
Wrestling.
There's an entire All Elite Wrestling TV tropes page. Anyways, I'm probably cutting a little bit of that.
You can cut some of that.
I have to leave at least one mention of All Elite Wrestling in. I'm very normal.
By law.
By law.
Do we have any developments in wrestling we should bring up? I think we've been pretty normal about it.
The existence of Julia Hart.
The existence of Julia Hart. End of sentence.
End of sentence. She's all we need to say.
I noticed on this re-listen, I took note of sometimes when the lobby boy repeats himself. And I have to say, they obviously they sound like alt takes in that he says things slightly differently, but still they sound so natural for his character. I'm just endlessly so glad they got left in because they do so much for him, I think.
It's like a really natural depiction of a stutter that you don't see a lot in media. And even if like a lot of it is just accidental, it feels really genuine. You can hear me trying to repress my urge to repeat myself in points we're even recording. I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
I think it's especially good in Mary Molly.
Oh, yes.
The whole,
I think I always get the Marys mixed up.
What's up with Mary Molly and Mary Mallory? Where do the names come
Mary Mallory's the first, Mary Molly's the second. They're both
Mary
double
Mallory
M
is
names.
the elevator? She's the elevator, right?
Yeah, E for elevator.
E for elevator. Y for you
Y
are
for
all
why
over
do you
the floor.
keep talking? This is how we get to remember it. Okay, everyone back to work.
Yeah,
it's like always remember the ABCs of first aid. A bone coming out of the skin is very bad. Like, I guess.
I'm looking through the transcript trying to find the exact line that he like repeats. Yeah.
A bunch
Ring
of
it out
lines.
in the bucket, slop Mary around. Ring it out in the bucket, slop Mary around. The repetition of that is really freaking good. Why does he just put the bucket back in the closet? He's like, hope it's not stinky when I come back to it.
Yeah, and then when he comes back to it, her fucking jawbone is still floating in there.
That's not how it works, baby girl.
You really need to clean that bucket water, girl.
It truly is just the fact he has, like, in season 1, such a small scope of things, which the owner does point out. He only knows what he's meant to know and do, and it's not part of his quote-unquote job to clean the bucket, so he's just like, I'll put it in the cupboard, and it'll be clean when next I get it out, I guess.
He's my little worker ant following his little pheromone trail, making little houses out of leaves.
Yeah. A house of leaves, you say?
Everyone clap!
House of leaves, you say?
No fucking way! A house of leaves! Ha! I'm the funniest bitch in this room! I say as I'm completely alone in the house!
We're all
hobby
in a
of
lobby
talking to myself
together.
makes me the funniest person alive.
By default. My favorite way to win.
My favorite way to win! By default!
And I really love the repetition in that episode, because, yeah, like you were saying, it adds a lot to it, and I think it adds this feeling of the, like, humdrum repetition of cleaning in a horror context, which makes it really eerie, because it is like, yeah, when you're mopping a floor, you do the same motion over and over, and it adds this almost dawning kind of disgust to the lobby boy. Like, he's doing this, and the more he does it, the more time he has to spend with the guest. You know, what's left of her. Which, we know he does not like spending time with the guests. So it just really does add that element of him just repeating, because he's just in this scenario, and it's very good.
He's just used to the way the guests smell after they check in. Which is a really funny way to word it.
Yeah. Just by that point, they're already dead. They may as well be.
And the thing about he assumes the hotel works the same way all hotels work in Jenny Range. His scope is so limited, it's borderline comical.
Yeah.
I love him.
Everyone in this hotel is LARPing what they think their jobs are. None of them know what a hotel actually is.
Loving those human skin suits. Very fetch.
Very fetch. They're trying so hard. Good for them.
They're doing their best.
For them.
I think they should have a staff room. I think they should have a break room.
Workplace violence. Everyone invited.
Workplace violence this way. Or whatever the sign says.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. I was mixing it up with the labyrinth everyone welcome meme.
Do we have any... Well, first of all, do we have anything else we're wanting to talk about in specific? And do we have any closing thoughts, if not?
So now that we're done with the retrospective, if we're going to be uploading this later, I think now would be like a good time to discuss our thoughts on the playlists, because I saw them and it was 3 in the morning and I literally like jumped out of bed and like hooted like Charlie's grandpa in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and I started pacing around my room checking.
I work at a high school and am currently on summer break, and I'm about to go back to work Tuesday, so I've been trying, I promise this is relevant, so I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule so I can get up at 6 in the morning again. And I crack my eye open at 7 the other day, and I check my phone as usual, and I'm thinking about just getting back in bed, and then I see, hey, hotel playlists, and I feel like I licked a car battery. I was jumping all over the goddamn
Oh,
place.
Mentos!
Diet Coke and fucking Mentos. That was a day.
We've been listening to them while we draw on call lately too.
And screaming.
So the alien being on the hotels playlist, very fun, because Jay and I have seen Annihilation. Ibis has not. So we were sitting there in like grim, solemn silence.
They're like, here comes the drop, and it's like, whoa.
It sounds like a microwave turning on.
What the fuck are you talking about? I have to watch Annihilation now.
And I'm like
Next
sitting
Saturday.
there like tears bubbling in my eyes.
Yeah, we're having a moment of reverence, and Ibis is there like, what is this noise?
It's like when the horns hit in Reborn from Hereditary, but for people with like abandonment issues.
I guess.
God.
What? Okay, I'll find out.
You'll find out. I'll show you. You'll understand after we watch that movie.
You have some thoughts on the owner playlist.
Thank you for my fucking life. I'll reiterate John Cena's theme on the owner playlist. Nothing has brought me more joy.
Nothing.
Dracula's Wedding on the official owner playlist. Can we talk about this? Hi.
Speak of this.
So, this is, first of all, I was about to say introduced to us. We knew this song.
Yeah.
I used to listen to this at like age 8, which is very fun.
I like Outcast, but shockingly, I had never listened to Speaker Box of Love Below in full.
This is first posited on the Twitter as a hotel owner song, and then it shows up on the playlist. This does things to me as a person.
It's really funny to me. Yes, I Am being posted as a hotel song that the official playlists go up and it's on the manager's playlist, and I'm like, I'm doing a jig. I'm doing the robot. I don't know if you can see it. I'm like doing the robot in my chair right now for reasons I myself could not describe, but it was very interesting to see.
I'm seeing it in my head. I like all the classical stuff.
Yeah.
I especially like it because it puts me in mind of the owner sitting in a big plush armchair in like a bathrobe with a snifter of whiskey and a cigar, and he's just leaning back and he's got his records on, and it is his alone time, and no one is allowed to bother him, and he is listening to his records.
He's gonna be there listening to his tunes.
If somebody knocks on the door, he is going to incinerate them.
Literally, he's just gonna rip them in half with his fucking talons.
And I think that's wonderful.
If we're gonna be talking about visceral reactions to music on playlists, listening to the hotel playlist, yesterday I think it was, I Just Want to Make the World Smile, Girls' Rituals. I wish I had recorded my reaction to that coming on, cause, Ibis, Jay, you may recall, I actually started, like, bellowing like some kind of great beast. I, like, shrieked. I shouted. I had to get up and pace around. I left my room, and I, like, grabbed a drink, and I slammed it back before I went back into my room, sat down in my chair, started screaming again.
It was pretty immediate.
I like Girls' Rituals. I kind of like Girls' Rituals. I don't know if you noticed.
You seem to
I
like
think
Girls'
you might.
Rituals.
I kind of like Girls' Rituals. I've been here since like 2016, 17. I like Girls' Rituals a little bit.
The trapdoor theme being in playlist makes me really happy. That's like my entire childhood. I also really like all the classical stuff. I like classical music. I like horror movie soundtracks. It makes me happy. And oh shoot, there was another one that slipped my mind. Oh, Annibal Cannibal. Yeah.
Ooh, that may or may not have been in Michigan, baby.
Hearing
Michigan?
that song
It
makes me
could have been
happy.
in Michigan. I don't know.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Maybe it was in Illinois.
Frontier Psychiatrist was very fun. I'm not familiar with the Avalanches, but I have been informed since by these two that they mostly do samples. But of course, the opening sample is from Polyester, which my mom essentially forced me to watch at gunpoint, like, last week.
Hey, do you think Dexter might be ill?
Criminally insane is what they said. He's the Baltimore Foot Stomper. I don't know what to tell you. But he's okay. He's gotten treatment for that. He's better now.
He got
that was
better,
a fucking
though.
movie. He got better.
Oh, another lovely choice, I think, was A Cruel Angel's Thesis.
Have a Cruel Angel's Thesis.
Like, I haven't taken pictures of my shelf that I posted publicly on the Twitter, but right above my PC, where I do all of my big important work, I have, let me see, 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6. I have 6 Evangelion figures.
I would swear on a stack of Bibles, because I'm a heathen, that we had said Cruel Angel's Thesis Lobby Boy at some point.
Lobby Boy become a legend.
Lobby Boy become a legend. It's just kind of validating to
the
have...
Lobby Boy using the hotel against the owner in XX. Something parallels to Shinji piloting Eva 01.
What the hell are we talking about?
The playlist.
The playlists.
We talked about our own playlist stuff. Let's give Travis's a quick review, you know?
Body by Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, Body by Megan Thee Stallion. I'm doing some awful things with that later, just so we all know.
I'm thrilled. I'm elated.
I
Living
just
Dead
fucking
Girl,
noticed over
also,
the rainbow on the managers.
So happy about Living Dead Girl. I think
Yes!
I told Niall to put that on one of the playlists.
It was
and
the
he
managers,
like, no.
and then I was like,
It
it was on there for like a couple days, and I was like, I think I can do better. And then I like pruned it, and I was going to snatch Living Dead Girl again from Travis for my hotel playlist, but then I was like, oh baby, I got another one I can put on there. So now Dead Girl Superstar's on there, because I don't want there to be too much overlap.
Oh yeah, I did steal a bunch of songs from...
Yeah, I definitely stole on people I don't like.
Yeah, Overkill, One Vision, 9 to 5, because I was gonna put 9 to 5 on there before, and then I was like, oh, it's a bit too silly. I make the playlist for myself, but well... So now I feel very validated.
Yeah.
BoJack's Theme, Memento Mori, I'll Be Mellow When I'm Dead. I love I'll Be Mellow When I'm Dead on there because that in season 3 the hotel looked at him and was like, I'm going to help you relax.
Chill the fuck out.
The Megatron quote. I have heard it said that we gain wisdom through suffering, and tonight I intend to make you very wise. That kind of beat. Anyway, I stole a lot of things.
A lot of the songs on these playlists are songs that I have never heard in my life, which is usually very fun. I like finding new music through playlists, but when I was going through them as a first look, because I didn't want to listen to them all the way through at 3 a.m, I was like quickly poring over, like going through songs I recognized from each playlist, so I had like a general idea of what I was getting into. And some of these, like, you all know that I have a single neuron that pings when I get the reference!
Yes.
Monster by Kanye West.
Monster by Kanye West.
I fucking love it. I actually, like, I don't listen to a lot of Kanye. I make a point not to listen to too much Kanye. But Monster is a song that I have to turn up as loud as humanly possible whenever it comes on.
It's Nicki's song.
Nicki owns that song. She was like, okay, it's almost time for Nicki to slay.
I like Army of Me and Suspiria being on the manager's playlist.
I fucking love Army of Me. Just a song.
Army of
As a song in general. I like I'm a Slave for You on the Lobby Boys.
That's very fun.
That's incredibly good. That's incredible.
Oh! I like all the, I like the White Stripes Elephant being on a couple of them.
Roach.
Because Elephant was one of my favorite albums when I was younger. I had a CD of it, and I played it so much that it skipped, and then I played it so much that the skips became ingrained in my memory of the song. So now if I hear the songs and they don't skip, I'm like, what?
Dog, did you notice Love Me Normally is on here?
I did.
I just wanted you to notice. Because I'm not the Will Wood guy. Not exactly my cup of tea. But
I'm the Will Wood guy.
I have a couple songs of his ingrained in my brain by virtue of Ibis playing them while we stream. And Love Me Normally is one of those.
I said this on Twitter, but I like all the Frank Zappa. I said He's the Reason I'm Alive, which I think sounds a little more dramatic. My parents met because they were both playing Frank Zappa. I should say He's the Reason I Was Born.
Your music saved my life type beat, not...
Your music is the reason for my life.
Yeah.
As in, they would not have met otherwise type beat.
Your music is music people fall in love to, apparently.
Apparently! Tells you what kind of folks my parents are.
He's got cool parents.
I've got cool parents. Break Stuff, Limp Bizkit on the manager is very funny.
Duckworth on the owners.
Liking that.
Yeah.
The Prowler on the owner? Fuck
I don't
yeah.
know if you've noticed, but we as a triad kind of like Duckworth.
We like Duckworth.
We like Duckworth a little bit. And I
We've
like
been
the
made
Into
to
the
enjoy.
Spider-Verse soundtrack just a little bit. I say as if I don't have it on CD, like a freak.
Do you have it on CD?
I have it on CD.
Oh, there you go.
And I have Into the Spider-Verse itself on Blu-ray. It's literally like one of my favorite fucking movies ever.
I like the drowning noises on the manager's playlist. I like the Halloween sounds deep in the depths, and it's just water bubbling.
Oh my god. I made a joke when we were going through the playlists that, like, seeing that, I was like, hey, when are we gonna put Drowned by Clipping on there?
TBH.
TBH, creature.
Oh, you were just saying something about Hotel Transylvania for the owner. Literally
I
a
was
song from
comparing
Hotel
his,
Transylvania 3 is on there.
I was comparing him, you were talking about the way he
I was making
spoke,
fun
and
of
I
him.
was like,
yeah,
I was like, it's like Dracula from Hotel Transylvania.
not seen it.
Like, I do not say blah blah blah.
He does say blah blah blah.
He does. I haven't watched that movie in forever. I used to watch it on repeat as like a child, and now I haven't touched it since.
The owner probably says blah blah blah.
Oh, he does.
I feel like I've heard him say that.
And he would be so offended if you implied it.
He'd be so offended.
He would be so fucking offended.
I do think he sounds like wah 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 to the lobby boy specifically.
I want the lobby boy doing the fucking Charlie Brown dance at the New Year's party.
Oh, that'd be cute.
Got Linus and Lucy playing in the background. Rob's still dying on the stage.
I'm still dying. Poor Bob.
This ain't about him.
This ain't about him.
Oh,
I'm just
the world is not enough.
The world is not enough.
The world is not enough.
The way, like, that song, long before the playlists were even a thing, Ibis has known how much I fucking love that song. I have, like, showed it to him and gone, this is the music ever. This is the song forever. This makes me want to drape myself over, like, a velvet fainting couch. This makes me want to saunter around an empty mansion in, like, an evening gown. This makes me want to cry into a glass of red wine. And I don't even drink. But that song, like, inspires the beast in me to emerge. It inspires me to activate my, like, anime girl demon beast mode. And then I see it on the Hotel Herself playlist, and I'm like, the last thread of my, like, critical reasoning remaining just snaps like a bowstring, and I have to start running laps to contain myself. And one last thing I wanted to say about the playlist. So much stuff from Haunted by Poe being on there really intrigued me. Not for any good reason, but because the day Judy Blashy dropped, I was at work, and I listened to it at work, and I was already pacing around, and I hadn't packed anything for lunch that day besides 4 strawberry cupcakes and a like tall energy drink. So I think you can imagine that, like, didn't help much knowing how I reacted to the episode, but I decided, on my lunch break, that the best way to recover from the episode was to listen to the entirety of Haunted by Poe front to back. So I already had an association between it and the Hotel podcast. And this has just, like, burned it into my brain.
I like the proliferation. Is that the right word? Oh dear. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of it. The abundance? I guess the abundance. I like the abundance of novelty music and Weird Al.
Yeah.
That's thrilling.
It's the kind of, sometimes I worry I'm not taking the characters seriously enough.
Me
It's
too.
that post that's like, oh no, I made a joke, now they're gonna think I don't get narratives and themes. So it's really refreshing that some of these songs are like, not at the character's expense, but like, it's a joke. It's a little bit funny.
These characters are kind of funny silly. They're kind of wacko.
They're kind of
They've got so many things wrong with them.
It's the great thing with horror, with letting things be serious and silly at the same time.
Yeah.
The staff unionizes for therapy.
The staff unionizes for therapy.
They
I
don't
don't
even
know
have
if therapy would fix any of these.
I don't think anything can fix them, but it would help.
I think they'd just fuck up a therapist.
Therapy would be free because they're all case studies
Yeah.
in and of themselves. But a lot of these playlists, actually, I said this already, but a lot of them have inspired me to be more fast and loose, more less up my own ass, if I could say that, about my own
No,
playlists.
you're not allowed to say that.
Ah, damn it. But my playlists have been held back in the past by my unwillingness to include anything that I can't 100% stretch to lyrically fit. But then I'm like, I've made playlists in the past that are just general vibe metrics, like, oh yeah, this feels like them, put that shit on there. And that's how I've recommended songs for characters to people in the past. You especially would know. But in a way, I prevented myself from doing that with my own playlists, because I was like, shit, everyone has to think I'm some kind of playlist god genius. Yeah, no, I really don't. These are my playlists. I do them for myself. I do them because I'm funny. So I've been bulking mine up over the past couple days. It's been great. It's been going well.
So, closing thoughts. Good freaking first season. Endlessly interesting first season. A lot more open-ended, I would say. I think later seasons are still open to speculation and don't answer everything, which I love about the show. Can I say that? I love that the show isn't like, let's explain this to death. It's so refreshing. It's really nice. I like the attitude of, yeah, maybe it is the way you think it is. Who's to say? I think I just like that. Really solid.
Yeah. I really realized listening back to this as well. I really appreciate the style of horror in the first season, which is present in all of them as well. It's just more apparent in this smaller scope, not scope, but a more contained setting. In that it is dreamlike kind of horror to it. This slow creeping sense of horror, very reminiscent of old creepypastas. Stuff, and I think that is what hooked me on this show in the first place, and it's really nice getting to re-experience that through a re-listen.
I am a strong believer in the idea that horror is more horrifying when left open-ended, up to interpretation. And season 1 being more focused on the horror of the hotel itself than the inner workings, inner mechanisms, what lies behind the curtain, haha, very funny. It works really well as a horror podcast, especially one that you're supposed to just listen to on your lunch break, as I did when I was first listening.
Yeah.
And leaving everything open to interpretation, having this, like, fast and loose, like, if it happens, it happens, what do you think kind of lore about it? Much room for growth in the future, building upon it. And it has been built upon significantly, and I've loved watching it be built upon.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 was a really strong foundation. And
yes.
I love the formula. But I feel like the show's grown a lot since season 1, and returning to that formula entirely would be returning to form may not always be a good thing.
Yeah, it's changed a lot and evolved, which is a fascinating thing to watch a creative project do.
Yeah, it's grown from like something reminiscent of old creepypastas, like you said, to something like more reminiscent of like an actual series with an ongoing plot.
Yeah.
Like its own thing.
It's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's spiraled and shit.
This also reminded me of something else I wanted to talk about, so oops, not the end. One quick thing.
You're really good at this.
I'm so good at this.
Columbo voice.
Columbo voice. One more thing. Episode 5, Arnold Jackson. Really, really, really good. And I'm going to use a comparison to another show here, which I know is not always everybody's favorite, but I mean in a compliment. It reminds me a lot of an episode of the Magnus Archives, and the only one that's ever made me lose sleep. I forget exactly which one it is, but it's like, I think it's in season 4, and it's about the dark, and there's this guy who's like, yeah, so for the past several nights, I've been waking up at 3 a.m., aware that there's a creature in my room with me, and it starts to move towards me when it knows that I know it's there, but I hide under the blankets, and it can't get me, and I'm terrified under there, but I'm safe, and eventually I got used to that, and then one night, I get under the blankets, and it rips them off of me and goes, the blanket never protected you. It's got the same feeling of like when he's in the room with the thing and it's just sitting there. And then it pulls the chair up to the bed and pats the bed like, okay, get in. And he's just like, He can't call for help. He can't get anybody else in here. The thing hasn't made a threatening move towards him, but he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know what it wants. It's the same kind of horror of whatever this thing in here with you is, it knows that you can't do anything. It knows that you can't stop it. It has its own agenda. It's going to do whatever it wants, and it doesn't have to do it quickly. And it knows that, and you know that, and it is going to wait. And it is so patient. And this, what do? You can't do anything. What do? That
A creature
gets
purpose-built to torment you for as long as it needs.
gets me. That's so fucking good.
It's really fucking good.
It's so good. So I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very, it's a bit scarier if you don't know what the orifice engulfing you is kind of person. Like, oh, you know what's gonna happen if you get eaten, but what if that's not a mouth? You know?
They say specifically, oh, let me get the transcript. Yeah. If there's something out of place, say a fire or a lion, I love a lion?
A lion.
If there was a lion
Put a lion in the hotel, fuck it.
a lion in the hotel, fuck it. Because a fire, you could expect a fire in a hotel.
Like
That's a thing
Britney
that
Spears
happens in
circus.
buildings. Like Britney Spears circus.
They're gonna put the manager in a ringmaster's outfit.
Do it, coward. If there was something out of place, say a fire or a lion, he would know how to react. Even if it was just another human being in the room, Mr. Jackson, oh boy, could assume he's in the wrong place. Or another guest didn't check out. Maybe a thief. But a thing, passive and living and staring, he's not sure what to do with that, so he does nothing. Thank you. That's everything to me. That's horror to me. That's spooky. That's scary. I like that. I'm gonna calm down now.
I like how it doesn't make any overtly threatening moves either.
No, it just sits there and watches
For all
him.
that cares, he could be a homie.
It's the horror of the inscrutable. It's like how you can have a nightmare about a thing that jumps on you and that'll shock you awake, but you have a nightmare about a thing that's just there watching, and that is so much more bone-chilling because it is that inscrutable, like, what do you want? Why? Things don't behave like this. Things make their intentions clear. A thing that doesn't is a thing to be feared. It's good horror.
It's good horror.
It's good horror.
Season 1, ending thoughts. It's good horror.
It's good horror.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you
Keys
for
under the
listening.
mat.
We have more to come. He may or may not be under the mat. I don't know. I might have ate it.
Who's to say? Look to find out for yourself. Don't take our word for it.
Cha-cha-cha.